Now we'll start the class. So today's class is tinnitus otolgia.
తర్వాత మనం ఆడుకుందాం.
Someone is talking. All of you, please mute your mics. So otolgia and tinnitus both are the symptoms. These are not diseases. So you have to remember otolgia and tinnitus. Now it is coming. So otolgia and tinnitus both are the symptoms. They are not the diseases. Today we'll discuss about the otolgia and tinnitus. So as already I told, it is a symptom, otolgia or earache. So the causes for the pain in the ear, it may be local or it is from the referred pain in the ear or from the remote areas. So because of the same nerve innervation to the surrounding areas of the ear and also to the ear, external aortic canal, pinna or middle ear. So because of that same innervation, so they'll feel the pain in the ear. So that is called the referred otolgia. And if the cause within the ear, that is local cause. So causes for the pain in the ear is grossly divided into three types: local, referred causes, and the psychogenic causes. So if there is no problem in the external aortic canal or middle ear or in the referred areas, then you should call it as a psychogenic cause without any specific etiology, without any organic problem. Some people will feel the pain in the ear. So coming to the local causes. So as all these conditions already we have discussed, furunculosis or furuncle. So that is a localized infection of the root of the air follicle by the bacteria. So then they'll have the severe pain. So in this condition, furunculosis or otitis externa or otomycosis, all these are the external artery canal conditions. These are the external ear conditions which will cause the pain in the ear. Otomycosis, myringitis bullosa, and herpes zoster, and malignant neoplasms of the external artery canal. All these conditions will cause the pain in the ear. So if there is a problem in the external artery canal, one important clinical sign is if you compress the tragus into the inwards towards the external artery canal, they will get the pain. That is called the tragus sign. Tragus sign is positive. So that is very, very important clinical sign so that you can know the whether problem is in the external artery canal or in the tympanic membrane or middle ear. So just you should compress the tragus inwards into the external artery canal. If they get the pain, so that is indirect evidence for you there is a problem in the external artery canal. So any problem in the external artery canal, most of the time foreign bodies will not get the pain. Chanakya, you have to remember, if it is a small foreign body, they don't have any pain. Only no, if it is a very large foreign body or impacted foreign body, then they'll get the pain. So foreign bodies are painless conditions. These are the conditions which will cause the pain in the ear, external artery canal conditions. Middle ear, acute otitis media, mastocytitis, eustachian tube obstruction or aero-otitis media, and extradural abscess and carcinoma of the middle ear. So these conditions will cause the pain. So these are the conditions, middle ear conditions. So external artery canal conditions and middle ear conditions will cause the pain. So then coming to the referred causes. So the problem will be somewhere else surround the pinna or middle ear, but the patient will get the pain in the ear. So if you see this picture, first you should know the nerve supply of the external artery canal and tympanic membrane. So anterior half of the anterior wall of the external artery canal and floor of the external artery canal is supplied by the fifth cranial nerve, that is auriculotemporal nerve, which is a branch of the trigeminal nerve. So auriculotemporal nerve will supply these areas. This is uh, tooth and temporomandibular joint, and pinna is supplied by the greater auricular and lesser occipital nerves. Most of the lateral surface of the pinna is supplied by the greater auricular nerve, which is arising from the roots, cervical roots C2 and C3. So if there is a problem in this cervical spine or spondylosis, they will get the referred otalgia in this region. So if there is a problem in the tooth or in the temporomandibular joint, again they will get the pain in the external artery canal. So these are the other nerves, cranial nerves, which supply the other parts of the body and also same nerve to the external artery canal. So this is 10th cranial nerve, that is vagus nerve. Vagus nerve will give the branch to the external artery canal and also to the tympanic membrane. And this is the glossopharyngeal nerve, 9th cranial nerve, glossopharyngeal nerve, which supplies the base of the tongue, oropharynx, and pharyngeal mucosa, and also to the medial surface of the tympanic membrane. So suppose if there is a problem in these areas, in those areas, that is referred to the external artery canal or tympanic membrane, that is called the referred otalgia. So the concept for the referred otalgia is same nerve innervation. So if there is a problem in the tooth, that is dental caries tooth, apical abscess of the tooth, impacted molar and malocclusion and Thurston syndrome, these will cause the referred otalgia into the external artery canal and the tympanic membrane. And oral cavity, benign and malignant lesions of the oral cavity, and temporomandibular joint disorders like bruxism, osteoarthritis. Bruxism means excessive grinding of the teeth or clenching of the joints. Recurrent dislocation or ill fitting of the TM joint, that is temporomandibular joint. So via 9th cranial nerve, there is pain will be referred to the tympanic membrane or external artery canal. These are the causes. If there is a problem in the oropharynx like acute tonsillitis, peritonsillar abscess, post tonsillectomy, benign and malignant lesions of the soft palate, tonsil, and the pillars. So again, benign and malignant lesions of the base of the tongue and elongated styloid process. So this is important question for you. 2 marks question, that is Eagle syndrome or styalgia. So normally styloid process, it is a part of the temporal bone. Styloid process is around less than 2 to 2.5 centimeters in adults. So if the size of this styloid process is elongated, that is if it is more than 3.5 centimeters, it will cause compression over this 9th cranial nerve, that is glossopharyngeal nerve. Then they will get the referred otalgia into the external artery canal and tympanic membrane. So that is called the styalgia or Eagle syndrome. It is a very, very important question for you, 2 marks question in the final examination. So elongated styloid process, Eagle syndrome. So if there is a styloid process, size of the styloid process is more than 3.5 centimeters, it will cause compression over the glossopharyngeal nerve. So the treatment for this condition is you need to remove the elongated styloid process. You need to cut the elongated styloid process. That is to the approach for this surgery is mostly through the oral cavity. That is after doing the tonsillectomy. So this is one of the indication for doing the tonsillectomy. That is styalgia. After doing the this tonsillectomy, you will approach the elongated styloid process in the bed of the tonsil. So you have to cut the excess size of the styloid process. So via 10th cranial nerve, that is vagus nerve, malignancy or ulcerative lesions of the vallecula, epiglottis, larynx and laryngopharynx or esophagus, it may refer to the external artery canal or tympanic membrane. So if there is a problem in the cervical spine, that is spondylitis, injuries to the cervical spine or caries spine will refer to the pain. Pain will refer to the pinna. So this greater auricular and lesser occipital nerves will supply the pinna, both medial and lateral surface of the pinna. Psychogenic cause. So you have to examine the patient if they have any earache. You have to examine it thoroughly. So to rule out any local and referred causes. So that's why if they are having any pain in the ear, you have to examine all these areas to rule out the referred pain, referred otalgia. So you have to examine first external artery canal and tympanic membrane, and also these areas to rule out the referred otalgia. So if there is no cause has been discovered, pain may be functional in origin, but the patient should be kept under observation with periodic re-evaluation. You should ask the patient, you should counsel the patient there is no cause, and then ask the patient for the regular follow-up. Still, if they are having the again pain in the ear. So then coming to the second symptom, tinnitus. So what is tinnitus? Roll number 26. What is tinnitus?
So it's an ringing sensation in the ear.
Ringing sensation in the ear. So most of the time this will origin from the within the ear. Okay, it is not from the outside the ear. So tinnitus is a ringing sound or noise in the ear. So the origin for this sound is within the ear. So that you should remember. The characteristic feature of this, that the origin of this sound is within the patient or within the ear. So ringing sound or noise in the ear. So most of the time this tinnitus is unilateral, most of the patient. It may occur in bilateral ears, but mostly it is unilateral. So it is vary in pitch and loudness. So the characteristic of this tinnitus, they will give history, roaring type, hissing type, swishing, rustling or clicking type of the noise. So these are the different characters to the tinnitus. So it is more annoying in quiet surroundings. It is important whenever you are asking the history about the tinnitus, you should ask the patient. So the number one question is whether it is continuous or intermittent, and it is there any variation, diurnal variation? That means if they are feeling the tinnitus more in the daytime or night times. Most of the time, 90 to 100%, they'll tell the it is more in the night times because of the calm surroundings. So the surrounding noise will mask the tinnitus. So because of the calm surroundings, they will get the more. They will feel the more sound in the quiet surroundings. So then coming to the types of tinnitus. So there are two types, subjective and objective type of the tinnitus. So if it is subjective tinnitus, only patient can feel the sound or noise in the ear. Objective tinnitus, it can be heard by the examiner with the use of the stethoscope. So if you place your stethoscope over the external aortic canal, you can hear the sound. That is the objective tinnitus and subjective tinnitus. So 99% most of the patient it is subjective tinnitus. Subjective tinnitus and objective tinnitus. If there is a problem in the vascular problems like any carotid artery aneurysm, stenosis, or any high riding jugular bulb, then we will get this kind of objective tinnitus. Most of the time it is subjective and unilateral. So then we will see these are the causes. Just now we have discussed all the causes which will cause the otalgia. It may cause the tinnitus also. So yeah, the otologic causes for the subjective tinnitus are the impacted wax. Simple impacted wax, complete occlusion of the external artery canal also will cause the ringing sound in the ear. Fluid in the middle ear, that is non-suppurative otitis media or zero otitis media, also will cause the tinnitus. Acute otitis media, chronic otitis media, Meniere's disease, presbyacusis, noise-induced hearing loss, idiopathic sudden sensory neural hearing loss, and acoustic neuroma. So all these conditions will cause the tinnitus. So these are the otologic causes for the tinnitus. So whenever patient comes, you need to rule out all these conditions. You should examine the patient thoroughly. Is there any problem in the external artery canal or middle ear? Then neurological causes for the tinnitus. So if there is any head injury, temporal bone fractures, whiplash injury, multiple sclerosis, post meningitic, and brain hemorrhage and brain infarct. Metabolic hypo or hyperthyroidism, hyperlipidemia, obesity, vitamin deficiency like vitamin B12 will also cause the tinnitus. Cardiovascular causes like hypertension, hypotension, anemia, cardiac arrhythmias, and atherosclerosis. So pharmacogenic causes like all ototoxic drugs will cause the tinnitus, and psychogenic causes like anxiety and depression. So that's why you should take the thorough history for tinnitus. If they are having this subjective tinnitus, you need to rule out the local and systemic causes for the tinnitus. So local cause, any condition in the external aortic canal, middle ear or inner ear may cause the tinnitus. And to rule out the systemic diseases, you have to take the complete history. So all these conditions you need to rule out, like neurological, if there any recent history of the head injury, any fractures of the temporal bone, multiple sclerosis, post meningitis, recent history of the meningitis, thyroidism, hypo or hyperthyroidism, obesity, simple obesity also will cause this tinnitus. Hypertension, hypotension, anemia, cardiac arrhythmias, psychogenic causes like anxiety and depression. So coming to the objective tinnitus. So it is heard by the examiner also by using the stethoscope over the pinna. So vascular causes, if there is any abnormal arteriovenous shunts, congenital arteriovenous malformation, glomus tumor of the middle ear. So arterial bruit, if there is any carotid aneurysm, carotid artery stenosis, because it is closely related to the middle ear cavity. The anterior wall of the middle ear cavity, it is closely related to the middle ear cavity. So that's why if there is any stenosis or aneurysm of the carotid artery, then there will be this objective tinnitus. Vascular loops around the 8th canal in the internal artery canal, high riding carotid artery, and persistent stapedial artery, that is congenital malformation. Usually, stapedial artery will disappear after birth. If there is persistent of this stapedial artery, uh, they will have this objective tinnitus. Venous harm. So if there is a dehiscent jugular bulb, floor of the middle ear cavity is covered by the thin plate of the bone. So if there is there congenital absence of that bone, so there is a jugular bulb will protrude into the middle ear cavity. So then the patient will have this objective tinnitus. Patulous eustachian tube. So this is also one of the reason for the objective tinnitus. Patulous eustachian tube is nothing but there is wide opening. So normally in resting position, it will be completely closed. So it will be opened by the during yawning and swallowing movements, and in resting position it will be completely closed. In patulous eustachian tube, it is open even in resting position. That's why the air will enter into the middle ear cavity through this eustachian tube into the middle ear cavity. So it is synchronous with the respiratory movements. So the patient will have this tinnitus during the inspiration and expiration because of the excessive air entry into the middle ear cavity. So we should rule out this patulous eustachian tube. If there is a objective tinnitus, it is synchronous with the respiration. Palatal myoclonus, that is excessive contraction of the soft palate muscles, idiopathic stapedial or tensor tympani myoclonus. So again, excessive contractions of the stapedius muscle and the tensor tympani. These are the intratympanic muscles. Only two intratympanic muscles. Clicking of the temporomandibular joint also will lead to the objective type of the tinnitus. So as already I told, tinnitus is a symptom. It is not a disease. Tinnitus and otology it is not a disease. So wherever possible, first you should. Hmm. Okay. Yeah. So it is a symptom and it is not a disease. Wherever possible, its cause should be discovered and treated. So we should find out the cause for the tinnitus. If you are able to identify the cause, first treat the cause, then they will get the relief. So, but most of the time, tinnitus will be idiopathic. Without any specific cause, they will get the tinnitus. So when no cause is found, so after thorough clinical examination and investigations to rule out all local causes and systemic causes, if you are unable to find any cause, then that is called the idiopathic tinnitus. So this idiopathic tinnitus, most of the objective tinnitus, we can find out the cause for the objective tinnitus, but subjective tinnitus, most of the time it is idiopathic. So when no cause is found, then first thing is you have to reassurance and you have to reassure the patient so about the tinnitus. So it is not a major disease; it is simple symptom and psychotherapy. You should counsel the patient regarding the tinnitus, how the mechanism of the tinnitus and treatment for the tinnitus. Techniques of the relaxation and biofeedback. If they are having a really problem with the tinnitus, the sleep disturbances, then you should advise these kinds of the techniques of relaxation and biofeedback, and you should advise the patient don't think excessively about the tinnitus. Sedation and tranquilizers. Rarely we may require these sedative tablets if they are having the sleep disturbances during night times because of the loss of the surrounding noise masking effect. They'll have the more sound during the night times and masking of tinnitus. So still after using this sedation and tranquilizers, after this counseling of the patient, if still they are getting the sound, we can go for the this masking of the tinnitus. Rarely we may require this masking of the tinnitus. So tinnitus maskers and tinnitus instruments. There are two types: tinnitus maskers and tinnitus instruments. So tinnitus maskers are used when patients have no hearing loss. Without any hearing loss, you should mask the tinnitus or ringing sound which is coming from the ear by using the external sound that is called the tinnitus masker. So these people will not have the any hearing loss. Use of tinnitus masker for a short time may provide in some individuals a symptom-free period for several hours due to the phenomena of residual inhibition. So here we will use the broadband noise for the few hours. So they'll get the relief from the tinnitus. So that is called the masking effect by giving the external sound stimulus to the patient. So they have to use these tinnitus maskers like a hearing aids. They have to keep into the external artery canal. So this is for the without any hearing loss patients. Tinnitus instrument is different. So it is a combination of the hearing aid along with the tinnitus masker. It is also looks like a hearing aid. So both hearing aid and masking device in a single equipment, and the both will have the independent volume controls. So they can increase or decrease the masking effect and also hearing aid volume. So both two controls will be there for the both tinnitus masker and the hearing aid. That is tinnitus instrument and tinnitus maskers. So with severe tinnitus patients, you can use this tinnitus maskers. So one more treatment for the idiopathic subjective type of tinnitus is tinnitus retraining therapy. So that is called the TRT, tinnitus retraining therapy. So it presumes that tinnitus does not cause as much annoyance as the emotional reactions generated from the limbic and autonomic systems. So that means tinnitus per se will not cause any major problem to the patient. So they are feeling excessively about the tinnitus. So this because of that excessive thinking and the limbic and autonomic system disturbances, they'll have the more problem to the patient. So this is the Anaka?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So this tinnitus retraining therapy is for the subjective tinnitus. So the aim of this TRT is to attenuate the connections between the limbic, auditory, and the autonomic nervous system. So this is like a counseling and sound therapy. So in this tinnitus retraining therapy, there is two components: habituation of the reaction and habituation of the tinnitus. So habituation of the reaction means it is uncoupling of the brain and body from the negative reactions of tinnitus. So uncoupling of the brain and body from the negative reactions of the tinnitus. Habituation of the tinnitus, it is blocking the tinnitus related neuronal activity to reach the level of the consciousness. So these are the components of the main components of the this tinnitus retraining therapy. With this therapy, patients suffer from the tinnitus, loss awareness about the tinnitus, and also do not get annoyed even when they do have the tinnitus. So you have to make like, it is like a main counseling of the patient about the tinnitus. And so this therapy of the TRT consists of two major components. One is counseling and second one is the sound therapy. So in counseling, you have to educate the patient about the tinnitus, its mechanism of generation, perception of the tinnitus at subcortical and cortical levels in the brain, and the plasticity of the brain, which can habituate any sensory stimuli. And then limbic system and autonomic nervous system are the primary sources of the negative reactions to the tinnitus. Limbic system means emotions, and autonomic system like body reactions. So like sleep disturbance, inability to concentrate, annoyance, anxiety, and depression are not the tinnitus per se. So you have to counsel the patient. Don't think excessively about this tinnitus, that is like a counseling. Second thing is the sound therapy. After giving the counseling, if still they are feeling the tinnitus, then you should go for the this sound therapy. In this sound therapy, patient is exposed to the environmental sounds frequently, like music, radio, or television, or use of the hearing aids if they are having the hearing loss also, combined hearing loss and tinnitus, then you can go, they can go for the hearing aids. So simple use of the aids also will decrease the tinnitus, those who are having the hearing loss. So to produce external sound for habituation, sound generators also used, which produce the continuous low level broadband noise for at least 8 hours in a day. So sound here is used for not for masking the tinnitus, but is a adjusted to remain at a low level for habituation. So continuous low level broadband noise for the at least 8 hours in a day. That is the tinnitus maskers. So tinnitus retraining therapy needs long period of treatment like 18 to 24 months, but it gives a significant improvement in more than 80% of the patients. So the main disadvantage with this TRT is they have to follow the instructions for at least for 2 years, but it gives the good results. Around 80% of the patients will get the relief from the tinnitus. So this is about the tinnitus and otology. Any doubts about these two symptoms? Roll number 26.
No, sir.
About the tinnitus, any doubts?
No, sir.
So you have to examine the patient completely to rule out the tinnitus. So whether it is a local cause or systemic cause. So if there is no cause, local or systemic cause, then that is idiopathic. So for idiopathic tinnitus, like tinnitus masker, tinnitus instrument, and tinnitus retraining therapy. So you should counsel the patient regarding the tinnitus about the origin mechanism of the tinnitus. It is not a disease. It is like a only symptom of the different diseases in the ear. Okay. అయిపోయింది.